Good afternoon, all listeners. Today's podcast comes to you on July 17th, 2022. In today's podcast, I have Q and myself, JP. And what we're going to be talking about today is how to compartmentalize relationships. How to compartmentalize relationships. When we look at what compartmentalizing basically is, it's an internal process of putting your feelings towards someone or some experience in a metaphorical box and putting them on a shelf in the back of your mind to be forgotten or stirred when someone reminds you they're there. Well, we're going to talk about looking at relationships from that perspective. So as we go into today's topic, I have Q, myself again. It's just going to be talking about how you compartmentalizing the relationships in your life. Who's in your life to pull you up? Who's in your life to pull you down? You always got to look at where you are in your own life. Like, are you in a position to where you have boundaries set up to where you're not allowing any and everything to be in your life and everything's in that compartment? And it feels as if you're going crazy in your mind because you can't really decipher who's who and what's what. You got to learn how to decipher who's who and what's what because it comes with self-respect, self-love, and growth. How much do you love you to not allow any and everything into your life, into your mind? And so you look at your mind and you look at it as like a compartment. Look at the brain. Look at how it functions. There's different parts of the brain. So look at it like different parts of relationships. So for example, on my job, we have people that are really not for you, but yet they act like they for you, but they can't even look you in the face when they talk to you because they've been talking behind your back. You have those same kind of relationships on the outside in everyday world, real life world. You have people out there that you look to and talk to, but yet they can't even make eye contact with you because they've done some shady type stuff in your life, and you got to look at that too and see yourself as saying, well, what is this person lie? Is this a frenemy? Is this somebody that's a friend slash enemy, or is this a real friend? But once you get to a point where you're not seeking self-validation, or you're not seeking just to have people in your life, you can compartmentalize that person. You can put them in a frenemy compartment. The same with relationships. Don't think just for 1 minute because of female, or for you males, or a female, or for females, if a male's in your life, don't think for one moment just because this person's doing a lot for you in the beginning that the person has your best interests at heart. We get it confused a lot of times. In certain instances, a person's motive is what we have to look at in all instances, and look at, okay, why they're giving into our lives. Are they looking for something long term from us? And we're not looking at the long term of things. We just going into it because we've been hurt. We going into it because we looking for a rebound. We going into relationships because we broken and we don't know who's who and what's what. We just looking for somebody to heal us. But once you could get to a point of being by yourself and get healed by yourself, you'll learn how to see who's who and what's what as you overcome those things that have broken you, because you have to be put back together. But without compartmentalizing it and not knowing those people who are in your life who are therapeutic, or who are there to provide healing, or who are there to help strengthen you in those same places or from those same places that you've been in, then you will always find yourself continuously running into relationship, or from relationship to relationship, broken. So that's what we have to get to a point of, is compartmentalizing, realizing who those people are that are there to help us gain an advantage. Are these people that are coming into our lives a liability, or are they an asset to us? And that's how you compartmentalize. You basically separating the two. First off, you got to separate the two, but you got to look at where you want to be ultimately at the end of the day. Because as we spoke on manifestation, Q and I, we talked about manifesting and your tongue being able to set the sail for you, basically on how far you want to go and where you want to be. At the end of the day, those people that come into your life, if they don't line up with that sail or that ship that you're in and where you want to be at the end of the day for your destination, then they can't be in your lives offering some type of advice, because you got jealous people, you got envious people, you got people that's going to try to set you back. You got people that's going to pin things on you. They're going to accuse you. Stop being a people pleaser. Get to a point where you can accept it either way. Get your feelings and emotions out of these relationships. Just make it all about mindfulness. And when you can start thinking with your mind, you can start compartmentalizing. You can start seeing people for who they are. When you start seeing it through your spiritual eye, your third eye, and you start seeing things through not your flesh and what your flesh wants. And I talked to Q today, and Q's on the line. And if he has any questions, I'm gonna open it up to him. You know, if he has anything he want to speak on about compartmentalizing, because we've all had failed relationships. We've all had failed friendships. We've all had people turn on us. So if he has anything he want to say about that, he's welcome to do so at this time.
For sure, man. I appreciate you again, Jay, for having me on, man, as always.
Yes, sir.
So do you feel like, you said validation, so do you feel like the need for validation is why people, you know, tend to not compartmentalize relationships? So you just kind of basically trying to please everybody because you looking for some type of validation?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And if you all could hear, his question was about just why you look for validation in people, basically, you know, and just why you out there reaching, you know, trying to seek validation is because of you, you know, being in the position you in, hurt, broken, whatever the case may be. To answer your question, Q, I believe a lot of us, you know, are seeking validation because we broke. We lack confidence. We're broken people going through one relationship from one relationship to the next. Somebody hurt us. We look for a rebound. We look for the next person to heal us. So therefore, we're opening ourselves up to people that are speaking in our lives, and we're looking for anything good they can offer to make us feel good about ourselves. And in the process of doing so, we hadn't compartmentalized who's who and what's what, because we hadn't learned from those lessons. And so therefore we find ourselves getting hurt again by different people, because different people don't have the right motives. And that's what we're trying to decipher, is what's people's motives in our lives. And that comes with exercising good discernment. Good question.
Yeah, man, that definitely makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like if you you don't feel valid within yourself, you look for, you know, outwards, you know,
All
and
the time.
yeah, I feel like once we do that, you fail to have a, you know, a relationship with others because you don't have a solid relationship within ourselves first.
Perfect. Yes, sir.
So maybe that's, you know, what it's about, having, you know, self realization and self, you know, just working on the inside before you could even have a you know, solid relationships on the outside.
Absolutely, man. I agree with that. Like, you hit it on the head, because it starts with self-care. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, like, how much do you care about you? Like, and if you're not spending the necessary time to see if you don't know what it looks like dating yourself, then how are you gonna know how to date other people properly without it affecting you? If you're not spending time with you and learning how to wake up in the morning and do those self-affirmations and tell yourself how great you are and how beautiful you are and how strong you are and how courageous you are, and you're not doing that in your own life, don't expect it from other people. So
Yeah,
that's a good question.
yeah, I feel that for real, man. It starts with self first.
Yes, sir. It's all about self. It's about me in the beginning of the day. You know, how I want to look, how I woke out at the end of the day. I want to look like how I did when I woke up in the morning. Not saying all tired and groggy. I'm saying that person that was awoke, that person that knew what he wanted throughout the day, that person who planned his day out carefully, that person that's been hurt through things and really has grown from it and is strong enough to decipher the difference, like discern the difference between people who are out for me, or who have it in for me, or who have my best interests at heart. I wanted to continue to look through like that throughout my entire day. You know, I don't want to go through life wavering, trying to figure out who's who. Why this person say this? Why that person say that? That's because you hadn't been healed. That's because you challenged now, because you've been through something so bad and you jumped into something else, And now it has you insecure and questioning the whole relationship when it could in actuality be good for you.
Ooh, yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah, that makes sense, man. Just sounds like just protecting yourself, you know,
Let's see.
protecting you know, your inner. It's all about protection, making
Yes,
sure
sir.
everything is for your highest purpose. I feel like.
That's right. And I agree. Like everything you saying is spot on, Q. Like, what is your purpose? Like, we got to know our purpose. And that's what it comes from spending time with ourselves, finding a vision, finding what our next move needs to be. And I think like a lot of people trying to lead and go out there while they still bleed. That so any little thing pricks the wound that's open already. And
Right,
so we got to learn how to protect that wound, put something on it. You can't just put a Band-Aid on it every time.
right.
I'm telling you, because what is going to happen is going to turn to infection. Then you become a toxic person. And then you're always negative. Then you're always talking about people. Then you think people don't like you. Then you think this person against you when they actually got it for you and they trying to help you. You can't really see when you don't know how to compartmentalize because you still wounded.
Mm. So that's how toxicity might start. It's not fully healing yourself and just you know carrying on and putting a band-aid over the wound,
Putting a
not really
Band-Aid
cleaning
on.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
it
never
starts
thought
from that.
about it.
Yes, sir. It starts from that. You hit it on the head because like a lot of times we just try to find ourselves, oh man, I put this little Band-Aid on that, man, and go on. I'll be all right. You know you bleed. At night, you still got the wound. It's blood coming out of you all day. You talking bad, you negative, you judgmental, you depressed, you oppressed. You don't know whether you coming or going. But you trying to make relationships work, but knowing you still got this wound that's there. And every little thing somebody do, you say ouch. The hurt dog is the one who hollers the loudest because you
Mm,
couldn't compartmentalize. You didn't know how to put people in their right place, in their right season, because you weren't working on you. You was going outward trying to get help, and you should have been looking inwardly at yourself on how to do self-improvement, as Q said earlier.
man, I totally agree with you, man. I feel like that's something I definitely struggle with myself. Was being hurt at one point and not looking at myself as you know, the main character in my movie, or and after I got hurt, I never really healed myself, and I was going around, looking for healing through other people, and that came out as me, almost just bleeding on them and making them feel, you know, everything that I'm projecting, So
Right. And that's perfect, man. The saying is hurt people hurt other people. Hurt people go around hurting other people. You can't really project anything positive because all that's in you is negative. It's toxicity because you hurting and you in pain and you don't know who to turn to. But one thing about me, I was starting to open up to a female again, and I had come out of one relationship, went into the next. And one of the things I was reminded of within myself is you don't need to really be talking to just another female right now, because this one already judged you because you and her built the relationship of being vulnerable with each other, but she used your vulnerabilities against you to make you seem like you was a weak man or a soft man or whatever the case may be. So I have to learn how to talk to my sources, whether it be God, your higher power, talking to that person that you really can trust, a therapist, counselor, really finding the right people that can speak to your spirit and help you grow and help you come out of different things. So yeah, Q, I agree with that. I was just over there trying to push myself on people because I wanted to be heard. I wanted somebody to help heal me. And at the same time, I was weakening myself because I couldn't get the help I was needing. I was just deflating before the people and never wonder why I could rise to the occasion and be strong and help people and be that light that they really need to see.
right on, man. Yeah, That's crazy. But I never thought of it like that myself. It starts with self, man.
Self.
Deep.
It does. It does. It's all about learning how to love self. What does my relationship look like with self? That's compartmentalizing. Does that person add to self? Are they adding to me being a better person? Or are they hurting? Are they taking away from me? Those are takers. You got takers in the streets. You got takers out here in the world. You got people that always take. And then you find yourself overextending and there's nothing that you have at the end of the day to have for you. Those are takers. So really have to be watchful of that. It's all about, like you said, protecting you. It's about watching over yourself. It's about looking after you at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day. Be about you and making you a better you, doing self-improvements. I listen to 14-minute self videos on YouTube on how to improve myself with self-love, self-confidence, and all those different things to help mold me, to get me used to listening to things that are going to get my spirit to line up with it. It's I think it's 70 million or so many different neurons that you speak to every time you say something. And I don't want to quote anything wrong or make an assumption, but it's either 70 trillion or 70 million or 70 billion neurons that you speak to that fire off when you say something about yourself. And anytime you got to look at you speak things and put it out in the universe, that's what you get back. It's the law of attraction. So what are we putting out there? Or do we have the ability to put positivity out because we've listened to so much negativity all our life, whether it be through music, whether it be through influences and people that we're around that always listen to certain things or watch certain things that are causing us to be so negative or our spirit to be so in a different frequency that it shouldn't be, that's not causing us to vibe on a higher frequency like we should in our higher self, our higher person. You know, we got to really know that person, and you can't know it through those channels. You can't know it through those relationships. You got to know it for yourself.
So, man, I had a question, Jay, just to bring it back to compartmentalizing. So does that mean, like, okay, let's say we have friends, right? Or let's say we are we in our purpose. You standing in your purpose, and not every friend you have is, you know, connected to your purpose. But does that mean does that mean they're a bad friend, or does that mean like we got to just, you know, uh, change how we deal with them and how they could somehow, you know, connect to our purpose, but just not they just not the main role, you know?
Good question. They can't be connected to our purpose. So it's a saying, and I can go to, you know, even for those who don't believe, there's a biblical saying, and I believe biblically and Q, you know, but the thing is, when it comes down to being yoked with a person, being equally yoked with a person, the Bible says, be not unequally yoked together with non-believers. So if you look at the biblical term, it goes into oxen. Back in the biblical days of times, they would yoke oxen together that walked together at the same pace. That was the only way they could be yoked together. So I don't see why you would yoke up with a non-believer, because this person's not assigned to something. They're going to tear it down. They're going to speak against it. They're going to be negative. They're going to let you down at times when you feel like you really need them, because you're counter dependent upon the wrong person, because you didn't know where to put them in that compartment of your brain. You didn't know where they lie. Okay, is this just an acquaintance? This somebody just say what's up to, talk to on occasion, just about, you know, different stuff, you know, that like personal stuff we've been through, or share different experiences? Or is this somebody that connect to my purpose and where I'm trying to go? And if they're not walking at the same pace, you have to separate yourself.
Yeah, that's real, man. That's real talk, you know. And then sometimes, you know, that I feel like in my own experiences, that was a little difficult for me to try to, you know, separate for somebody who, you know, I had love for, but having to understand that they're not on the same walk as me, you know.
Right.
I feel like the love wasn't lost, but, you know, I feel like I had to love myself a little more just so I could continue on my purpose, you know.
Right.
So yeah, I
That's
feel like something like that is definitely not easy, bro.
you hit it on the head. It takes time, especially when it's a childhood friend, or especially with somebody you grew up with in the streets, or you may have grew up with in your neighborhood, or whatever the case may be. You know, it's not easy when y'all share similar experiences, but yet you come out of that. You've grown to a different place now in your life. And all those people have to offer you is to remember who you once were, you know, and try to use that. And they can't understand it because you've outgrown them.
Mm,
You've outgrown them, but yet you're trying to make yourself relevant, but yet at the same time, you've outgrown them. So we have nothing in common anymore. And it's just, it boils down to knowing, okay, was this just a childhood friend, or was this person just somebody that I was cool with in the moment because of what we did or how we, you know, maneuver through life at that time? Or is this okay, just because of that, that does not mean that they're assigned to my purpose. That was not my purpose. You know, at the end of the day, I'm trying to get to my destiny. Where's my destination? And so when you look at your destination and this person doesn't fit destiny, then it's up to you at that point. You have to decide, no, I'm not going to have that person in my life. I've outgrown this person. I love them. You can call me shady, call me crooked, you call me, oh, whatever. But that doesn't define me now. I'm different. I'm changed. But you at the same time stuck on all this little stuff you stuck on that I was on too. If you want the help, I can help you. But if that person's not an assignment to help them out of the situation that they've been, that y'all in together, then you have to disconnect if you're not reaching them. So sometimes that'll come too. You would find yourself in a place where you come out of something and you go back and help the person that you was around, but you can
mm.
only help them so you can only help them so far. It's up to that person how much they want the help, but don't go seeking it if you haven't fully come out the mud yourself, because you and that person gonna sink in quicksand.
You know what I got from that, Jay? You know what that kind of sound like to me, man?
What's that? Yes, sir.
It almost sounds like bondage,
Yeah,
some people you create bonds with, but it's not always a good bond. You got trauma bonds, you got,
right,
struggle bonds, and that's hard, because sometimes you bond with somebody and only one person grows. That
right. Yes,
growth,
sir.
that hurts because it's like now I'm headed to somewhere I'm not really sure, but I know it's elevating and I know it's with purpose, but it's hard.
The fuck?